I am really excited to share all the things that I'm learning about mitochondria and their importance to our overall well-being and our longevity. Before I get started, I wanted to ask a question for you to think about, and you can always drop your answer in the chat as well. But when you learned about this call or you were invited to this call, what was it that made you want to come? What was it that piqued your interest and said, this presentation is for me. I need to hear what is being offered at this presentation. You can drop it in the chat if you want, or you can just think about it. So the other question that I have is, what if everything that you've been told about aging and disease is missing the most important parts and you don't know about them? So I'm gonna say many of us in America and around the world have not yet heard about the most important parts of our body. They may have learned about them in school. I'm pretty sure all of us have learned about mitochondria in school. They're small, but they're mighty, like we've been saying today. And they have a really large impact on your lifespan and your health span. I don't know about you, but this is a concept that I've heard a lot lately. I don't want to exist till I'm 95 or 80. I want to live to 80, 90. I want to be fully alive, as capable as possible in my body, in my mind, so that I'm enjoying my life. Because in this body that we have right here, this is our life with this body. How can we make it the best one possible? And that's what I want to share a little bit about tonight. So the first thing I just wanted to point out, and you may have already realized this, but what we are doing in America is not working when it comes to health. So America spends nearly twice as much on healthcare as other developed nations, but yet we rank last among those nations in life expectancy. We also have the highest rates of multiple chronic illnesses among developed countries. And then, if we're being honest, in a developed country, we face so many exposures from toxins, whether it's in our processed food, in our technology culture that has layers of generations of technology and radiation. It's not being replaced, it's being layered. 4G is being layered on 3G, 5G is being layered on all of those. We cannot escape the impact to our bodies. However, I want to just give you a spoiler alert. There are things that we can do absolutely to allow our bodies to have the best chance at dealing with those challenges and thriving among those challenges. So, for those of you who don't know me, I just wanted to take a minute to share a little bit about me before we get started going deeper into this. I have had a varied journey on my life. I grew up as an army brat. I then joined the army myself. I got off of active duty, went back to school, went to seminary, got a counseling degree, ended up being a hospital chaplain and a National Guard chaplain for over a decade. And there was a few things that came together at the same time that really turned my direction and sent me in another way. And some of that involved my own health challenges. When I got back from the deployment, you see the picture on the screen. Military doctors found large thyroid nodules. And the first recommendation that I got before I even left Fort Bliss, Texas, was if you were my family member, I would tell you to remove your thyroid. And at that point in time, I wasn't really into the world of holistic wellness, but something within my spirit just said, don't give up a part of your body before you even know what it's doing for you. At the time, I had no idea all the things that the thyroid did. And so that combined with helping people at a hospital in physical, emotional, spiritual, you name it, crisis. After 10 years, that really wore on me. And I said, I want to help people avoid getting to this point in their life. So that's when I went back to school again, and I used the GI Bill that I had got access to because of that deployment. And I got an integrative health and science degree. And I haven't looked back. I still have my thyroid, and giving my thyroid up will be the last resort that I do. So I want to share some other resorts with you, some other methods that you can use for your health and wellness to give your body the best chance, like I said, at thriving in this environment that we live in our modern age. So I want to start with hope. Like I've said some things that probably are alarming and may be like, okay, well, what do we do then? So we know what the problem is. What do we do? And thankfully, there are things that we can do because there have been brilliant people that have made scientific discoveries about our bodies. And we have these built-in systems in our body that we can turn on. A lot of people think of our genes as a roadmap to our destiny or our fate. Like your genes are not your fate, they really are a toolkit. And we can change the way our genes express through the power of nutrients. It's a field called nutrigenomics, and that's what I'm going to share a little bit about tonight. But there, we have three switches essentially in our bodies that we can turn on, and this really started coming more to the forefront of people's awareness back in 2005 when there was an ABC prime time done on one of the cellular activators that I will share tonight with you. And the doctor who was doing the research on this herbal activator was saying some things that caught the attention of the media and the scientific community, and they wanted to investigate because they're like, what is this man saying? Why is he making these outlandish statements about what the body can do? And so that led to just more research and more study into these areas. And I'm going to share what we know now and what's possible with your body. But there's those three main switches address three root causes of aging and disease in our body. Free radical damage, which is also known as oxidative stress, mitochondrial dysfunction, which is what I'm going to focus on mainly today, and then there's sirtuins, and you may have heard of NAD. Um, those the sirtuins are longevity proteins in our body that the sirtuin production in our body slows down over time. But we can turn on these systems to give our body a leg up again. And so I'll just briefly cover a little bit of about oxidative stress because this is where the journey of LifeVantage and the cellular activators really started. Dr. McCord was able to figure out a powerful help to address oxidative stress, which again is a root cause of disease and aging. It's like the rusting of an engine, the browning of an apple. Our cells are bombarded with free radicals, but they're also oxidized. And the free radicals damage our cells. And left to their own devices, it doesn't repair itself automatically. Our body can repair that that damage if we give it the right things. So you can see here on this graphic just all of the areas of our body that are affected by free radical damage. So essentially everything in our body is affected by free radical damage. And Dr. McCord, who I mentioned, I'll talk a little bit more about him briefly, but he was able to put together a combination of 5 microdosed herbs that turn on our NRF2 pathway in our body, which then turns up all of our master antioxidant production and also regulates our genes. So disease happens when our genes overexpress and underexpress. And NRF2, this activator, it's like a tuning of a piano. Just by taking a simple combination of herbs, it tunes that our genome essentially so that we're not out of tune. Our body is brought back into harmony and homeostasis. And so that's really awesome. And the cool thing is it works in all mammals. So animals don't have a placebo effect like Amanda shares in her launch call. Babies don't have a placebo effect. And she had seen some really drastic changes in Forrest when he was a toddler. Um, so you're welcome to check out her launch. She has that on her webpage if you want to hear more about her story. It's a very powerful story. Um, I'm going to jump ahead real quick and I'll come back. But after that ABC prime time, all of these organizations and institutions started studying this activator because of what it was showing, that we were reducing oxidative stress by 40% in 30 days, which is now an FDA approved statement because the science and the research absolutely backs it up. And that's unheard of for a supplement, something in the supplement realm, to have an FDA approved statement. But ours does. In the Washington State University study that was done, the researchers said that NRF2 activation may become the most therapeutic and preventative breakthrough in the history of medicine, the most extraordinary one. So that's when people started paying attention and saying, we need to research this more. So this is just a shout out to Dr. McCord. He is the doctor and the researcher who discovered our master antioxidant. Not the ones that we try to eat to combat those free radicals. We actually have master antioxidants in our bodies that address that free radical damage. And you may have heard of one of them, glutathione. People actually go and get glutathione IVs and spend hundreds and thousands of dollars on these IVs when your body can actually make it itself. So essentially, we're helping the body work smarter, not harder. But Dr. McCord was the one who found that master antioxidant at the top of the pyramid. And his discovery was so significant that that antioxidant enzyme, when it's measured in our bodies with testing, the units are McCord units. So that's how significant his discovery was. So that kind of kicked off this concept of cellular activation, and it's just expanded after that. So the first area that we can address is that free radical damage. The second area, which I want to talk about tonight, that I dug into more recently, is mitochondria. So our mitochondria, they are small, but they are mighty. They are the powerhouses of our cells, producing that ATP, the energy that we need for life. So your high energy organs have the highest concentration of mitochondria. Our brain has up to 2 million mitochondria per cell, if you can imagine that. Our heart has a high concentration, and for females, our ovaries. And so those super important organs for us have the highest concentration. So what happens when our mitochondrial health fails and deteriorates? Well, our health fails. It's a root cause, mitochondrial dysfunction, of hundreds of diseases as well. and it contributes to accelerated aging. So we definitely want to keep our mitochondria healthy. That is more challenging in our modern society. Our mitochondria are the most delicate parts of the cell, I learned recently. So it makes sense that they'd be easily damaged. And then the consequences downstream are that disease and accelerated aging. On the screen here are just like a few of the conditions that are linked to mitochondrial dysfunction. And a really huge one that we're seeing lately is neurological diseases. Many people struggle nowadays with Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, early onset of those. But what I want to encourage you to do is go to PubMed um, and look up mitochondrial dysfunction and just type in a disease state, a challenge that we face. I went and I did it for diabetes, and there were over 10,000 results. So I found that really interesting. Um, and today I did a little bit of research on that connection between mitochondrial dysfunction and impaired metabolic functioning, insulin resistance, that kind of thing. So it even affects that. So it makes sense that mitochondrial dysfunction would link to tie into diabetes. Um, and then I wanted to share just real quickly, this is something I added since the last presentation. There is a concept, a phenomenon that happens in our body. Our mitochondria can actually be hijacked. The function of our mitochondria gets hijacked by physical trauma, toxins, infections, psychological trauma, and chemicals. So a healthy cell is one that can function well and then make the person well. An unhealthy cell is going to make the person unhealthy. And when we have this hijacking of our mitochondria, it can't do what it's supposed to do. And then the downstream effects of that are disease states. And I'm going to tie in this into what happens in different disease and challenges. Really, the word disease, it's dis-ease. We're out of homeostasis, we're out of harmony. That's really what disease is. It's not there's something wrong with me. It's my body is out of harmony and it needs to get back to that. But with that cell danger response that happens, your cells sometimes cannot turn that off. So your mitochondria are hijacked. The energy produced by the mitochondria leak out of your cells, and then the cells are not able to use them for what they're made for. And I actually got this graphic off of an autism website. So I wanted to just click the next slide. When we have mitochondrial dysfunction, when we have cell danger response, these are all of the conditions that can be linked to that phenomenon. You see autism at the top, asthma, PTSD, a whole host of mental health concerns, autoimmune, PCOS, cancers, the list goes on. And to me, that was so eye-opening when I had made that connection again and just had remembered that concept of the cell danger response. It just made me like feel so passionate about tonight's call and getting this information out because people deserve to know what's going on in their bodies and what they can do about it. Even restless leg syndrome. We had some people on our team call talking about this yesterday about how they have restless leg syndrome and the activation has helped them to have those symptoms of that condition lessen over time. So I just wanted to bring this concept up because to me it's super fascinating. We actually have a call that one of our colleagues did on cell danger response and mental health specifically. So if you're interested in that replay, I can always send you that replay. But now I wanted to just shift in to what can we do about it? So this is the slide on the neurological conditions. I'm not going to cover this in detail, but I think we all know someone or a friend who has a family member struggling with neurological decline. And there are things that we can do absolutely to bolster our bodies to prevent this. And we can also recover from neurological harm and challenges. Now, this is where I need to do, like, I want to say the typical disclaimer that supplements have to make. So, supplements are not designed to treat, cure, or mitigate any diseases. Okay, so that's the disclaimer. But I'm going to just be honest with you guys. Like I said in the beginning, what we're doing in America and other developed countries is not working because we are focusing on masking symptoms. So often we're so focused on looking toward a cure that we forget about all of the root causes that caused this condition. What if we could address the root causes? We're going to connect the dots there tonight. And for me, I feel like nobody benefits by beating around the bush. Like, it may be the politically correct thing to do, but where does it really get us? It keeps us in a system where people are sick and spending more money, and the outcomes are getting worse. So that's why I'm sharing this tonight with you, and that's why I'm so passionate about it. And so, what can we do? So you have a pathway in your body. It's called the NRF1 pathway. It is tied to our mitochondria and our ATP. We can actually create healthy mitochondria by activating this pathway again through the power of targeted herbs. You can see the herbs that are in this product in our NRF1 activator. It might be things that you're already supplementing with, quercetin, CoQ10, so all of these things are things that you might already be taking. But in this specific dose and combination, the recipe, it's not just the ingredients, it's the recipe. This turns on that NRF1 pathway to allow you to produce healthy mitochondria and increase your ATP production. And I'll talk about this a little bit later too, but everything that LifeVantage puts together is synergistic and it feeds off of each other. So I'll talk about that later, but I just want to put that thought in your head and we'll come back to it. I want to share some success stories with you because I feel like we are told once we lose an ability, we won't get it back. And my message to you is never say never. That was the title of Amanda's launch call. Never say never and never let someone else tell you what is possible for you. A lot of you know that I love Dr. Dispenza. He has a quote that I absolutely love. He says, "Do not put limits on your transformation." Dr. Dispenza literally healed his spine with the help of his mind. He visualized his vertebrae one at a time healing. They told him he would never walk again. He was hit by a truck while he was in a biking event. Spoiler alert, he's walking. So just my message, I just think it's so important for us not to lose hope and to not put limits on our transformation. So this is Sheila. She had 5 strokes and she was told that she would likely be bedridden. She couldn't walk. And then somebody had introduced her to cellular activation. And through the cellular activators, she was able to recover from her strokes by turning on her body's innate capabilities. She was walking within 1 week. And then by her 66th birthday, she had lost 49 pounds. So that's Sheila on her like her 66th birthday. Her sister was the one who shared her testimony. And this one is just awesome to me. And so I wanted to share her story, and you can kind of see obviously the difference, the drastic difference in her. So I wanted to share that testimony. The next one I wanted to share is in the realm of those female reproductive systems that I mentioned earlier. So my friend Hannah, she was a nurse. She is now a stay-at-home mom, and she's also a LifeVantage consultant to get the word out about this technology. So she suffered from endometriosis when she was a teenager, and she didn't even know if she would be able to have kids. Um, she had like you can kind of see her story, but I put this on my Facebook page too if anybody wants to read it later. We can definitely send that over to you. Um, she didn't think she was going to be able to have children, but as you can see, she has children. She has two right now, and she was able to heal some of those cysts so they weren't rupturing on her. Um, and so that is really an awesome one. And I used to think it was oxidative stress that was like, I had put oxidative stress kind of on a pedestal. Like it was in the number one position in terms of what those root causes were that affected us. But now I'm seeing that oxidative stress and mitochondrial dysfunction, they're like on the number one pedestal together. They're like the enemies of our health and wellness. Um, but we can do something about it. I thought this was very interesting. I did some research on women's productive reproductive health and mitochondria. And there was a clinical trial that showed that women with PCOS that were taking mitochondrial targeted supplements achieved a 65.9 ovulation rate compared to 15.5 in control groups. So I'm not sure what supplement they were using, but I'm guessing it wasn't an NRF1 activator. So what would be possible if we could activate our NRF1 pathway? And then they also mentioned NAD precursors. And I'll talk about NAD later, but our bodies can make our own NAD. We don't need to go take an NAD IV, and we don't need to take things like NAC and hope that they convert, to glutathione and everything like that. We can actually turn our body's production on. Um, so real quickly, I wanted my friend Adrienne to share because she struggled with PCOS and she was on our activators for a while, which she'll share. And her story is really powerful. So I wanted her to share quickly about her story. Adrienne, I'll let you take it.
Yeah. Hi, Mary. Thanks for the introduction. First, I want to say that when we saw that slide about the mitochondrial um, dysfunction and several of the quote diseases or disease that Mary mentioned, I have at least five or more of them to include PCOS. And I was diagnosed with PCOS after I got out of the Army. Sorry, I'm pet sitting and these cats are wanting to get in the way. Um, by an ultrasound. However, I had all the symptoms of PCOS when I was in the military, which now that I've learned about oxidative stress through Mary, it all makes sense. So, like the symptoms of PCOS is like acne, hair growth in areas you don't want it, like your chin, other areas, as well as weight gain. There's other symptoms too, as well as like the cysts on the ovaries, and then things like that. So when I was first diagnosed in 2007, I had a bunch of cysts on my ovaries. They diagnosed me with it. I went to the VA. for about a decade. They put me on and off metformin, which I don't know if anybody's taken metformin, but it made me sick and nauseous. I couldn't really tolerate it. It didn't really seem to help my symptoms of PCOS at all. And then, Mary had told me about the Trisynergizer, the NRF1, NRF2. I think I tried it for about 6 months to a year. And then I had an ultrasound follow-up. And to my amazement, it actually came back showing that I did not meet any more um, the qualifiers for PCOS. So I was really shocked. Not only did I feel better overall physically health wise, like I said, I'll be honest, I have some of those things on the mitochondrial dysfunction,
Mm.
graph she showed that was in a circle. I have PTSD and anxiety, and I felt so much more clearer and better mentally and physically when I was on Tri-Synergizer and the products that I've tried through Mary. And so while I've never actually tried to get pregnant, I do know that PCOS, it's really hard to try to get pregnant with. And I was actually told that by the doctor. So I really do believe in oxidative stress, and given everything that, Mary has educated me on, I do believe in these products. And I hope to continue using them going forward in my life. And hope to get my family on them as well as my dog who does like pet tandem. And I am a super huge fan of horses, and I really hope to have a horse one day in my future for myself, and then they will be on pet tandem. So, yes, Mary has helped me so much, and as well as these products. Thanks, Mary. Any questions from anybody? I'm happy to answer anything.
Thank you for sharing your story, Adrian.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, it blows my mind because I feel like we have to share our stories because people need to know what's possible. And otherwise, we lose hope, you know? If we listen to people saying, you'll never do this, you'll never do that, our brains, they're powerful. I see Kevin's question here about can oxidative stress be influenced by psychological assumption? And I think that, our brains are really powerful. Like Dr. Dispenza even talks about it. We can affect the way our genes express with just our mind. So I think it does go both ways. We can we can help ourselves with our brain and we can definitely hamper ourselves with our brain. Like MJ and I were talking because there was a customer who essentially said, "Well, nothing I've tried has worked." So she was like, "I hope this will work." And so I was just thinking, we have to be careful what we even say. But yes, music is healing, frequency is healing, discipline's healing, our minds are healing, and absolutely herbs and nutrients are healing as well. What I love about the cellular activation is it just gives our bodies a leg up. It levels the playing field a little bit. The odds are definitely not stacked in our favor to be healthy in our modern world, but giving ourselves the right tools can definitely help. So some of you may know people that have alopecia. So alopecia is a condition where people have a hard time growing hair. They lose their hair. In my research lately, I knew oxidative stress played a part, but now I'm learning that mitochondrial dysfunction also plays a part. This came out of researching for a client because they were struggling with hair loss. And I was like, well, I'm doing my mitochondria call this week. Let me see if the mitochondria has a part in hair loss. And you can see with alopecia, mitochondrial dysfunction absolutely does. And what I've learned is that they're doing mitochondrial transplants now. That's a thing. I was like, my mind was blown. I'm like, what? We're trying to transplant healthy mitochondria into people that have mitochondria that are not healthy. And we don't have to do that. We can literally make our own mitochondria again by activating that NRF1 pathway. So I mentioned this earlier, but everything that LifeVantage creates, it turns out to be synergistic. I don't know if they plan it that way. They may be looking at synergies when they create their products, but we've found that everything is synergistic. So in our tri-synergizer that Adrian mentioned, it also has an NAD activator. Those three, when taken together, increase the effectiveness of each other. It increases by 1900%, so 1900%, which is just huge. And when we can make something more effective, the possibilities are really endless. So I wanted to kind of show what we've seen happen with our different activators. What I love about animals, we've talked about animals, they don't have a placebo effect. So, and you can tell the difference in the aging. Those dogs on the upper right, they were from the same litter. One was activated with NRF2 activation and one was not. And you can see the aging difference in them. And yes, there's other factors like food and 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 the environment at home. Like, is it a loving environment? But you can see that dog on on the right, the bottom right, its hair grew back in with NRF2 activation. And NRF1 activation also works for animals as well. So I know some people give the NRF2 activator to their dogs and their horses because that can be activated in them as well. So one of the things I like to share, the biggest change, I mean, I've seen some changes in myself. Um, my weight management is easier on activation, but also with the activated collagen that came out a few years ago, my eyes had a drastic change because the eyes are 90% collagen. And with that collagen activator, my eyes brightened, the whites of my eyes got brighter. And then also my eyelid, it looks like I got an eyelid lift. Um, and I never cut my face, and I will never cut my face. What you see is what you get with Mary. There will be no plastic surgery over here. But my goal is to see what's possible by turning my body's capabilities on to age in the best way possible. That's what I say now. My goal is to help other people live the healthiest, happiest, and longest lives possible. And for me, activation is a huge part of that. A couple more things I just wanted to touch on super briefly because I know I don't want to go too long, but I mentioned our activated collagen. Your body can produce its own collagen. And there's four genes that are responsible for producing your collagen. And there is one gene that degrades your collagen. The activated collagen that LifeVantage came out with addresses both of those things. And your body actually has 28 types of collagen. Most collagen supplements out there, they're just trying to provide something that's missing. They're not turning on production or counting for that degradation, and that's why most of them don't work. It's like pouring your money and your collagen into a bucket with holes. Um, Another reason I mentioned the collagen and the synergy. So LifeVantage found out in a study on the flagship NRF2 activator and our collagen when paired together, it turns down that immune stress signaling. So during COVID, you may have heard of the cytokine storms where our immune system was triggered and it stayed on, kind of like that cell danger response in the mitochondria, where our immune system is always on, always on, always on, won't shut off. They found that this combination actually turns down that stress signaling in the fibroblasts, and no other natural supplement has been shown to do that. So that's a really huge thing that they've found. And then just um, So, Anne, I know you brought up lighting. So, lighting is a factor in pictures, but I will tell you that your face does brighten with the collagen too. Your complexion does brighten. But what we do is we definitely always recommend you take the pictures in the same lighting. Like I definitely try to do that with my eye pictures. But like you can like I could turn my light off right now and my eyes do look different, right? But the especially people who know me, like you can see my eyelids. I you can see that my eyelids are like pretty lifted. So I will say that yes, um, lighting does play a part, but you can definitely tell, like when you meet these people, that they've had drastic improvements. Some people look like different people. Like this woman up here with the 45-day results. You can see in her eyes, it's like our eyes like come out. I don't know any other way to say it. It's like our eyes are like recessed and they come out. So, um, great questions, Anne, and I will address your question here in a minute. So, well, I guess I can just address it right now. So, what I like to say about activation is it's like a buffet. There are all of these options for what you can activate, and you get to choose what you want to activate. So, many people are on multiple activators because they know what it's doing for them and they know the benefits of the products. So, like Hannah, the girl Hannah that I mentioned with the endometriosis, we joke like whenever there's a new activator that comes out, we're like, "Are you going to stop taking something?" And we're like, "No," because we know what it's doing. It's like we know too much to quit taking them. But it really is a personal decision. And the answer is it depends really. But like those baseline activators are definitely something I would recommend for everyone. I would say like for everyone, I would recommend that NRF2 and NRF1 because you are going to be addressing the two of the root causes of aging. Um, However, the collagen, you can see it's in your blood-brain barrier, it's in your gut lining, it's everywhere, your heart, your spine. So activating your collagen is beneficial in ways. So it really is a personal decision, like what you want to activate for how long. For me personally, I'm going to try to activate everything I can for as long as I can. I don't want to stop taking anything. Um, so you're asking really great questions, Anne. So what I love about LiveVantage is they are looking for efficacy, good sourcing, and then effectiveness. So they balance all of those things. Um, all of the products are approved by the organizations in charge of like the sports leagues. So there's no banned substances. But really what makes LifeVantage is the recipes. So going back to Dr. McCord and his NRF2 activation, he actually tried with pharmaceuticals first. And he realized that this combination of herbs was more effective than pharmaceuticals to activate that NRF2 pathway. And it's going to do it in a way that's not hijacking your body, it's working with your body's internal systems. I'll mention that a little bit later too. But so we're allowing our bodies to work smarter, not harder. And so there was an MS company that does drugs for multiple sclerosis. They did a study on their MS drug versus Protandim and broccoli. Like there's a element, a compound in broccoli that activates the NRF2 pathway, but it's not very strong. And they found that the Protandim was like 24 times more Powerful. Yep, you got it. Yep, that's the one. So hopefully that kind of answers some of your questions. But really with LifeVantage, what it really is that synergy. I don't really understand, like there's brilliant people who work at LifeVantage. I'll just put it that way. The most recent product that LifeVantage put out is a GLP-1 activator. So that GLP-1 hormone that so many drugs are trying to mimic, we can actually turn on our own production. And they found it upregulates by 200% in 12 weeks. And we're doing that by activating those genes that are responsible to produce that GLP-1. And yeah, and you're exactly right. Most of the people on these GLP-1 drugs are losing up to 40% of the weight they're losing is muscle mass. And the heart is a muscle. So they're finding that Ozempic is shrinking the heart. So the long-term effects of these drugs is really going to be really harsh on the people who have been using them. And then when they have to get off of them for whatever reason, if their insurance won't cover it anymore or the side effects become too bad, well, now your body is absolutely not producing GLP-1 because it shuts it off when it's thinking it has it. And now you've just created multiple problems for yourself down the road. So, one more thing about synergy, and then I'm gonna like wrap this up because I know we'll stay around for questions and stuff. But uh, they found the synergy between the flagship activator, the NRF2 activator, and the mind body system that upregulates your GLP-1 hormone. They found that it activates 22 genes that are responsible for restoring, rebuilding, and renewing your internal organs. So just as our skin on the outside, it deteriorates, the tissue breaks down, we lose our collagen. That's happening on the inside of your body as well. And with this synergy, your genes are turning back on to be able to repair those internal organs. So that's a huge thing. So that's just a little bit about um, the host of areas that we can activate. I wanted to focus on mitochondria tonight because there really is a lot. And Tamar had the idea, like, let's break it down a little bit so people can hear about like the different pathways more fully. So the next one we'll do is NAD. And there's more scientific detail that I'm not sharing. Like, I didn't want this to be like try to be some grad level course on mitochondria, but there are people within our organization who have that training and knowledge that could give a class like that. Um, but before I wrap it up, I just wanted to share. There is opportunity with LifeVantage. Not only can you activate your own bodies, but you can activate your future and your finances. We are a company that shares with the social selling model. The product used to sit on the shelf in GNC, but the product has a story that can't really be told by just looking at the bottle. So they have moved to a social selling model. For me personally, I believe that everybody deserves to hear about how awesome their bodies are. And so we are really creating a community of wellness advocates who want to empower other people to live their best lives and to live the most vibrant life that they can. And so my question is, how many lives could you change by sharing the information that you learned tonight? Um, we had one gal who came to our call the other day and she's like, how come I've never heard of this before? How come I've never heard of the NRF2 pathway? Most people in America have never heard of SOD, our master antioxidant. Heck, I had never heard of GLP-1, the hormone GLP-1, before the drug companies came out with these drugs. So we're really trying to get the word out. People are going out and they're getting NAD IVs, like I mentioned, and glutathione IVs, and they're paying hundreds and thousands of dollars to get something put in their body that's gonna then wear off again. And if we can create that in our bodies ourselves, then that's we're working smarter, not harder. And then I just wanted to thank everybody for coming, bringing their curiosity, their questions. There's a
No,
lot of
baby.
different helps that we have, and this is just one area. It's a very impactful area. So to close out, I just wanted to ask you and have you imagine waking up every day knowing that you are actively supporting your body's ability to live and age better. How would that change things for you? How would that change your outlook on the future? How would that change your outlook on your present situation and that of your family and friends as well? For me, it changes everything because I'm confident that I'm doing everything in my power to give my body that leg up. Like for me, activation is my health insurance. For me personally, I I came out of that Western medicine system. It has a place, but for me personally, I'm going to do everything I can on my own so that I'm not forced to utilize that system. Um, That's just based on my experience. That's my preference. You might have a different preference, and that's totally okay. One of the things that we don't do here is push our agenda or my solution. I don't push my solution on you. I share the solution and let you choose what you want to do for yourself. So thank you for those kind words, Kevin. But yeah, I'll stick around. We'll stick around for questions if you want to talk more. But that's the end of my presentation. I thank you for listening. If you have any feedback, feel free to let me know because I want to continue to improve this presentation and make it better for the next time I offer it. So definitely let me know. But though I guess one last thing before I let everybody go is like Amanda likened what we do to a spider web. Like we're expanding out to try to reach more people. And I had gone to a new moon gathering with my friend Barbara the other day, and we were doing vision boards, and I saw this picture of skydivers. And I was like, that is so cool. I was like, I want to do this. Like, this is what we do. We like put people together and we're branching out. Um, okay, I'm gonna stop sharing and then Anne will get to your questions too. I'm gonna stop